In today's world, a school shooting is a real possibility. What would you do if that happened at Grundy County?
A lot of that depends upon the time frame of that school shooting. If that school shooting occurred on September 1st of 2014, we've got some real problems. Our response times will be poor. Our deputies' training will be poor, is poor. The manpower allocation is poor. The parents in the county don't know what to expect. There's not clear communication between the sheriff's department and the school board at this point on such things. Just in the last few days, we've lost our school safety officer, superintendent. I'm not quite sure what his term is here locally, but we've lost him due to budget cuts. I've got a few calls in trying to see if we can garner some independent funding to reinstate him. Of course, that's the school board's business, but let's at least get out there and see if we can't find some money. I could tell you it would be quite a different situation a year from now. I'm a master instructor. I've got a couple of friends in this area who are master law enforcement instructors also. Master law enforcement instructors can basically train any topic in law enforcement. I can train Grundy County deputies right here at home. I don't need to send them to Nashville. Of course, obviously, I have to make arrangements with the state to get the paperwork in line so that we're allowed to do that with the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. But we can train those deputies right here at home. And we can invite the other departments in the area at home, Tracy City and Monteagle if they choose to occur. We can even invite officers from regional departments, which can pay us tuition. But we can also train our volunteer firefighters, young people who are used to responding to emergencies. They're not trained to do that now, but we can train them, we can bring them into the schools, let them learn the layout, and create a emergency response force pretty quickly.
Okay. Are you familiar with the current budget for the Sheriff's Department?
No, I'm not familiar with the current budget, and the reason that I'm not is because despite several visits up, I've not been able to nail it down. Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of rumors about what the budget really looks like, but the bottom line is this. We don't have a good baseline on anything in the current Sheriff's Department. We don't know where we stand on manpower, resources, funding, evidence, inmate transportation. All of that is very blurry at this point in time. We need leadership at that Sheriff's Department, and the first step is to get a baseline. Now, not knowing exactly what the budget figures are, and I'm not accusing anybody of any wrongdoing by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm about to reference is a historical problem in law enforcement. It is not uncommon for outgoing sheriffs to spend up very quickly the majority of their budget if they've lost an election. They will do it for a variety of reasons. Sure, there's a certain percentage of them that are vengeful, but there's also a certain percentage who say, hey, I've always wanted to get these things done. This is my last chance, and I'm going to spend the money for it. So we don't know what's actually there. I will tell you one budget approach, though, that will be completely different. I'm in negotiations with a national CPA firm, Certified Public Accountant, and I would like to see that CPA firm take over the budget for the Sheriff's Department from the viewpoint of a consultant. We're negotiating for that to be a donation, and that means that the Sheriff's Office, the Sheriff himself, would simply be making yes or no decisions based upon the advice of these professional money managers with quality, reputation, credentials, and credibility. That also guarantees that you will have a monthly report or a quarterly report, whichever is most expedient, that can be published in the newspaper and put online so you always know where the money goes.
All right. Tell us about a couple of instances in which your leadership in your past career has made a significant difference in law enforcement.
In law enforcement specifically. Well, let's talk about a few tactical things and maybe an administrative area as well. The administrative area would be when I took over my police academy in Atlanta. The academy had been going downhill for a substantial period of time. It was training 13 agencies. At the time, police chiefs and sheriffs picked which police academy they wanted to send their people to, and only 13 agencies that were in very close proximity to this academy felt that it was credible enough to warrant sending their recruits for basic training. There's a variety of level of training. There's basic training, in-service training, then there's intermediate training, advanced training, supervisory, managerial, and executive. By the way, I'm an executive certified law enforcement officer. I'm certified to be a police chief or a sheriff. There's very few of us in the nation that have that. You've never, by the way, had a sheriff that was trained beyond the basic level. But at that police academy at that time, there were a number of issues. We turned it around, and I can't remember the exact amount. It was 8 or 10 years in a row we won the Georgia Police Academy of the Year award back to back. So we went from zero to sort of being a hero in the training field there pretty quickly. A second instance, more tactically oriented, would be when I was a correctional officer working at Rivers Correctional Institution, one of the biggest prisons in the country. I was on the state tactical squad, which is a SWAT team, if you will. The inmates had barricaded themselves in, were preparing to burn down the facility. I was in full riot gear and went with the warden to the front door, and the inmate at the front door, who was the spokesman, said, "We won't fight Sergeant Baker," and he unlocked the door, and we were able to get into that facility and terminate that riot with no injuries, no property damage.
All right. It's obvious that Grundy County needs a new jail. What will you do about the current jail conditions while the new jail is being built?
Right. And absolutely the county needs new correctional facilities of some sort. The county commissioners have been immersed in that problem for a couple of years now. And as one of the county commissioners put it last night when I talked to him, the can's been kicked down the road for years. It's got to be dealt with. The current plan for the new jail may be the best plan in the world, or it may not be an adequate plan. I don't know. I haven't been able to sit in on the meetings for that yet because obviously I'm not in office. But I am an experienced correctional manager, correctional leader, and I can tell you that for the next 2 years to 3 years, we're going to have to wait for that facility to be built, no matter what's done. Those inmates cannot stay in the current conditions they're in. First of all, it's morally wrong. We're held accountable, I believe, by God for the way that we treat our sick, our incarcerated, our children, and those inmates deserve to be treated like human beings no matter what they've done until they face trial and serve out their sentences. I believe that the only option that faces us right now is to build a temporary facility. In Iraq, I lived right beside the enemy prisoner of war camp. The camp was safe. Inmates were divided so that we kept the worst from the least worst. In fact, next week I will be putting together a TV show to show you the current conditions of the jail. And then I will also do a follow-on show to show you how a tent city jail can be built, what the structures look like, what the heating looks like, how you feed inmates. And this facility can be used for as long or short a period of time as necessary to give the commissioners time to do what they need to get done.
Okay. Tell us about a few of the things that might keep you up at night right now concerning the state of the sheriff's office as it exists now.
Right now, the biggest concern I have, aside from the obvious things we just talked about with the jail, is the lack of patrol coverage in the county. We just do not have enough patrol coverage to provide crime deterrence. We have to get a handle on the number of cars we've got, the patrol districts, precincts, whatever you want to call them, and we have to do better planning. You know, that's one of the funny things about the systems approach. Let's go back to the CPA for a minute, talking about the CPA firm. A CPA firm can come in and say, one of the things that's hurting you the most is your fuel bill. And that can make you back up and say, okay, we've got to cut fuel if we want to improve other programs. And so we can then reallocate patrol cars, we can then reallocate resources. So patrol coverage concerns me a lot, especially when it comes to our elderly citizens. When we have a break-in with the possibility of someone being inside the house and it takes 45 minutes to an hour for a deputy to get there, we have a problem. And we're all going to be elderly one day if we're blessed. If nothing happens to us before then. We need to be aware of our quality of law enforcement. Another thing that keeps me up at night is the quality of training for our deputies. We talked about that a little bit with the Master Instructor program. Another issue is the fact that our deputies don't have life and health insurance unless they choose to use a substantial portion of their salary. We're paying them at a level lower than Walmart's starting wage and expecting them to give their lives for us. We're expecting them to leave their spouses and their children behind with no support. We've got some hard problems facing us in Grundy County. They're not insurmountable, but they're difficult.
Tell me your feelings about gun control.
Well, I don't believe there should be gun control. I don't think we even have a right to really consider gun control. It's a constitutional right. The Second Amendment is a constitutional right. I believe that unlike the folks on, I don't know what you'd say, in opposition to me or the other side of the aisle or whatever the right way to put it is, and I'm talking about in Washington, D.C. and the like, I don't believe that guns are the real issue in school shootings. The data and the overwhelming number of school shootings shows that it's mostly people on psychological, psychiatric medications. It's also people who are typically addicted to video games, violent video games. So I don't believe in gun control. I don't believe in gun registration. And that's a little blunt, but I'm a constitutional sheriff. That's what I believe. Sheriff's candidate. That's what I believe.
There are some people who say that you don't meet the residency requirements for being on the ballot. Is this true?
Those people don't understand residency requirements. I sent a letter to the Elections Commission before I even entered a petition. And I told the Elections Commission, I don't remember the exact words, I've got the letter at home, I'm certainly willing to circulate it to the public if you'd like. I told them that I did not want to sign a petition saying that I was a resident. I had been given verbal okay and I didn't feel good about it until I had an official opinion from someone. So the Elections Commission took my letter and they gave it to the county attorney. Mr. Reeder, the county attorney, offered an opinion and said, no, he did not think I met the residency requirements. Here was my blunt question at the center of this. I wanted to know, what did the term residency mean from a legal perspective? Did it mean living in a house within Grundy County, or was it enough that while I've been deployed and so forth, I've been paying taxes in Grundy County? If I'm paying taxes and taking care of the roads, paying for the schools, and all the other things that we do in this county, since 2009, was that enough to establish residency? The county attorney felt no. He passed his opinion, that's all it is an opinion. Legislators and leaders all the time get opinions from attorneys they don't follow, to the Elections Commission. The Elections Commission contacted the state and asked for their guidance, and the state said it was their purview. It wasn't the purview of the local commission. So the paperwork went to the state commission, and the state elections commission inquired of the Attorney General's office, and this is going to be a hard question to answer in the shorter period of time. The Attorney General ruled that it was not a matter of residency anyway, because I'm a law enforcement. It's a certification matter, a licensure matter. So it went to Post. Post ruled that residency requirements were met. Somebody filed a complaint contesting that, and Post ruled a second time.
Okay.
In my favor.
That's okay.